LYNN Samuels and Barry Farber Show.
At least we got the order of the names right. So, well, nobody has anything to say. We've got the biggest audience I have ever seen. There's like rooms full of people to watch this radio program. In there, too, all over.
Lynn, first of all, don't interrupt me. You may interrupt anything I say for our entire broadcast life together, and it's long, but please don't interrupt this first comment with your
Oh, now you're giving orders. You're starting out by giving orders.
I said,
well,
please.
a request
Orders,
starts with
no,
please.
No. I said please. Play the tape. We got to go to the instant replay already. Go to the tape. I said please don't.
You can say please go to the tape.
Please don't interrupt me with a cry of don't patronize me. I really admire you. I admire what you've done in broadcasting. You have scaled to the pinnacle of this market, this city. You are on the great and growing WABC. I know what you think of me. It's been in all the papers, but I just want you to know that I'm proud and happy at this moment. And I want to make this the most exciting hour, day after day, in my entire so-called career. Now, I will not ask for any further mercy. I just didn't want to be interrupted because you have thought in the past that I was patronizing you when I praised you. I mean every word of it, period, not comma. Now turn the page. I don't know what your life has been like the past few days and hours, but everybody, I mean, really, you can tell when there's excitement, when there's electricity surrounding something you're doing. For about the past week, strangers...
I'm more familiar with that feeling than you must be.
No, strangers are stopping me. Wow, are you really going to sit there? LYNN Samuels. Wow. This morning, a stranger, as I was walking out of my building, I had never seen him before. He smiled at me. He said, I can't wait.
How does he even know who you are?
He said, I can't wait until 1 o'clock.
How does he know you?
Well, you know, doorman must have told him or something. But I suggest that we start, and this is a light request, because, see, you're in charge today, I'm in charge tomorrow.
Oh, no.
No?
We'll see who ends up being in charge.
All right, fine. I withdraw. I return your baton. I enjoy sitting where I'm sitting, as long as I get a chance to express my side of the issues that may divide us. I don't care who's, quote, in charge, unquote. So let the record show that I'm quickly yielding on that point. The company memo said we were to alternate administration of the hour, but that's your quarrel with them, not mine with you. I suggest that before we have a lifetime to disagree on certain things. May I suggest we spend at least the first few minutes exploring to see if there are any major things that we agree on?
Yeah.
I can't stand long-winded partners. They just take up too much of my valuable radio time. Lynn, can we agree that Adolf Hitler is bad?
Yes, Barry, we can agree that Adolf Hitler is bad.
Mm-hmm. Can we agree that America has amassed more strength, more power than any other nation in the history of the world?
No.
And abused it less?
Oh, no!
Well, what country ever amassed more strength and abused it less?
Well, the Soviet Union and America are probably equal in abuse through imperialism.
The Soviet Union and America are equal to abuse? Let's explore that. America has been in business as a nation since the 1770s, the Soviet Union since 1918. Since that time, over 100 million people have been killed, not counting the ones killed defending the Soviet Union. I'm talking about the Stalin body count. They have enslaved Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yes, here we go.
World War II, yes.
I see. In other words, World War II is considered...
Like to do
in other words, you don't want to go into
you.
the black hole of history. Well, let's stick to feelings.
No, let's stick to something that's happened, maybe in the last 20 years.
In other words, you no longer want to pursue areas that we might agree upon. Can we agree that medical distribution of medical services in America is bad?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can we agree that as long as there's one homeless person, we cannot gloat over the demise of communism?
As long as there's one homeless person
in America.
Well, I wouldn't gloat over the demise of communism anyway.
Can you agree, or can we agree, that communism deserves to be in demise?
No.
We can't.
No.
Then please, I haven't heard your side of that story for a long time. Would you please
Because
instruct...
I'm bored by all of this, because it's just old, boring stuff. They enslave people, they take over countries, they kill people.
And we do too?
enslave people,
Who?
we
Who?
take...
Who do we... Yeah, who?
Well, ask the Cambodians. Ask
What?
the Cambodians who, were it not for the bombing of Cambodia by the United States Army, which lied about it, would there'd be 1 million more living Cambodians, because it was our incursion into Cambodia that allowed Pol Pot to come to power. We are now fighting. We are now training Pol Pot's guerrillas that is still killing people in Cambodia.
So we are therefore, not the communists, but we are enslaved, not the North Vietnamese. We
We
are
enslave
enslaving...
black people in
Now,
this
wait,
country.
wait.
We enslave
Now,
poor
wait,
people
wait.
right in this country.
Wait, you're
What, do you get
grasshoppering...
paid by the government
You're-
or something? What
you're-
is your
You're
problem?
grasshoppering a little bit too fast for me. You say we enslave people. I know you hate to bring it up for reasons I can't understand, but there was something called World War II. As Henny Youngman says, it was in all the papers.
Yes, but it
And
ended in 1945.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. No. We are right now in the tail of the World War II comet, and woe unto whoever does not understand that. Now, after World War II, the Soviets, who you say are equal morally to the United States, the Soviets, who you say are no worse than we are, they stopped dead where their troops advanced to. They planted their hammer and sickle, and they enslaved those people. Down went any hope of democracy, and up went the Stalinist communist regimes. Where we conquered, we instantaneously gave them their freedom back, and we even lost land
But we
after...
already had all the black people in this country that have been enslaved, that are still
Now, we'll get to
enslaved.
we'll
So
get
what
to
do we
that.
need to run around and enslave like extra people?
We will get to your points as you bring them up. I think they're all very interesting.
Oh, and you're
but
not
after,
patronizing.
After
right?
World War
Oh.
II, I'm trying to treat your points as they deserve to be treated, Lynn. After World War II, we gave France, even Germany, Japan, we gave our former allies their freedom. Instead of punishing our
What do
former
you mean we
enemies.
gave? Wait a minute. We gave our former allies their freedom. What does that mean?
The Soviets did not. You see, France was our ally. It was enslaved. We gave them their freedom back once we
No, we
liberated.
didn't give them
Yes, we
anything.
did.
We
Yes,
were
we
all
did.
in a war, and the Allies
But
won.
you see
What do you have this macho thing?
But don't
Do you
you un-
connect your manhood to this country?
Don't you understand?
What is your problem?
I'm glad I am a man in this country. That's a slightly different thing from what you accuse me of. But don't you, Lynn, please try to stick to this point just for a second.
Don't you tell me what point to stick to.
No, but the only reason...
I am not a guest
The only reason...
on the Barry Farber show, and you will not talk to me the way I have heard you talk to people for years.
Lynn, the only reason...
I will talk about anything I want, not
Lynn,
stick to your point.
You do not have to stick to my point as a rule, but once you say the Soviet Union and the United States are moral equals, then you owe it to
or
honesty,
immoral equals.
Then you owe it to truth to answer the following question.
I have told you what we did to Cambodia. Look at what we just did to Panama. I'm not interested in the Second World War, Barry. Nobody is interested in the Second World War except you and a bunch of other people that haven't read a book for 40 years.
Lynn, the United States liberated countries, set them free. The Soviets liberated their countries, allies and enemies, and enslaved them. Now, are you still convinced the Soviet Union and the United States are moral equals?
Yes, we have enslaved. We overthrew a government in Guatemala in 1954. We installed people like Somoza in Nicaragua, the same way we have just installed Endara, who is himself connected to drug dealing, interestingly enough, in Panama. We've just done it in different parts of the world.
Did we install Corazon Aquino?
Of course we did.
Well, isn't she an improvement over the previous despotism? Did we keep
She's
baby
going to be
Doc
overthrown
Duvalier
very shortly.
Well, but don't you understand, Lynn? Your point comes apart like an Alka-Seltzer under Niagara Falls. Now, listen, I don't view you as an adversary to be bested. I view you as a political patient to be healed. And I'm optimistic.
And that isn't patronizing. We're not starting out here with a totally patronizing attitude.
No, I just want to state for the record at the
when
top
have you
of
ever sat equally anywhere with a woman and had to deal with a woman as your equal, Barry Farber?
I did not come here to brag. However, when I look upon you...
You don't have anything to brag about.
I didn't say I did. when I got a lot to be humble about, and I'm trying to quit being. I'm trying to get a little bit more to brag about. Maybe you can help me, Lynn. If I cure your political disease, then that'll give me something to brag about. You see, you are unfortunate in my eyes. You are not financially unfortunate. You are not physically unfortunate. You are not mentally unfortunate.
Is there a point
you are
to this?
politically unfortunate. You are your entire. You only had
I
one.
am, because I have to face the moral decay of the United States of America, and I can face that reality while you
And
live
don't-
in denial, believing some fairy tale that's been handed to you by the government starting
I
back
know.
during the Second World
Yeah,
War.
Exactly. World War II is a good place to begin all of this because the decline began.
I don't know
What
that
year-
much
what
about it.
year-
I
what
couldn't
year-
care
what year-
less
well,
about
what
World
year,
War
what year,
II.
What year do you think? I'm glad we won it. Otherwise, I'd be a lampshade, and most of our listeners would be speaking German. But when do you think the American decline began?
There was never anything but Americans. America is based on imperialism.
Well, I see it the opposite way, Lynn. I say, and I repeat, and this is, I suggest a pretty good end piece, at least for my part of this discussion. I say that no other country ever amassed as much power and abused it less. No other country ever amassed as much wealth and distributed it more fairly.
Oh,
no,
my.
no.
Where are you living the last 8
Name
years?
a country that amassed more wealth
Who-
and distributed
it
it
doesn't
more.
matter that you amass wealth and you amass power.
And
the
and
immorality is in trying to amass wealth and power and then distributing it
I'm
unequally.
sorry, Lynn. Without America's wealth and power, your beloved third world would be living in trees fighting off alligators. We have helped.
Oh,
so many-
they live in
we
trees,
have-
do they,
I
Barry?
said
Why,
without
Barry?
American production, without American
Why don't we
industrial
start-
might, there would be no
Why don't
prosperity
we
in the
start,
third world.
Why
And
don't we
after-
start with the American Indians who were decimated by the
Fine.
white man who came
Fine.
to this country and stole their land and murdered them?
Good. I'd welcome that. Shall we? But can we make a deal without feeling patronized? If we
No, we
start with,
can't do very
if
much
we
without
start
feeling
with the,
patronized.
If we start with the Indians, can we stick with the Indians for at least a
No.
waltz? Or, no. Mm-hmm.
Because I know how to say something in one sentence. I don't need to talk in 300 paragraphs to get nowhere.
Maybe
I get nowhere faster.
Maybe I will teach you to abandon your bankrupt, decrepit, leftist formulations, and you will teach me how to put things on a bumper sticker. I'd welcome
Maybe
that.
you will teach me.
A lot of people tell me I take a little too long to say things, and I'm trying to quit. But let me just answer you about the Indians. I'm waiting for you or someone like you, someone who feels like you, to finish the sentence. Finish the sentence about the Indians. When you say that America killed its indigenous population, when I'm talking to people on the left, that's usually the end. They have to be prodded to finish that thought. When we get back together, if you will allow me, since it's your show today,
It is not. Look,
I will
Barry.
finish that thought.
We're switching chairs. It is our show every day.
Atta girl.
And one of us is going to end up dominating it every day.
I second the emotion. I think we can both dominate it every day. I don't feel dominated by you. Do you feel dominated by me?
You're certainly trying, but you'll never succeed. Well, we were going to take a call right now, but where is it? Okay, line 1, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Jeff.
Barry and Lynn.
Turn the radio down. You
I
have to
did.
turn the
Okay,
radio
I'm
down.
sorry.
It sounds
I'm sorry.
terrible.
I just talked about it. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this whole idea about black reparations.
That's a topic we brought up.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jeff. I don't think it's appropriate. I can't atone for slavery. I've never owned a slave. I can't improve the past. I can only improve the present, and I'm doing the best job I know how.
And I'm also sick and tired of
Well, there, we agree about something.
this
It's
sort
a
of
stupid
subservient
idea.
attitude that a lot of whites take to the blacks. Like, why do we have Martin Luther King Day as a national holiday, and yet we don't have Abraham Lincoln? We don't celebrate his birthday as a national holiday.
We eclipsed all of the presidents, Lincoln's birthday, Washington's birthday, into President's Day, didn't we? We used to have a Lincoln's
Who
Day.
is more important even to blacks? Abraham Lincoln is a million times more important to blacks than Martin Luther
The
King
fact of the matter is, though, is that because Lincoln and Washington have been dead for so long, there's not an urgency about celebrating their birthday. Nobody alive remembers.
Well, we stop celebrating Christ's birthday. That makes no sense.
That's religion. Don't mix
it's
up
different.
politics and religion. I mean, they both, Lincoln and Washington, are dead for hundreds of years. Nobody remembers them. People actually
Well, we should remember
Martin.
them. Why should we? They're a million times more important than Martin Luther King.
Why?
In fact, Martin Luther King would never have existed if it weren't for that, for those two men. His ideas come directly from them, Thomas Jefferson.
I would say they come more from Mahatma Gandhi.
Jeff, may I tell you something?
And where do his ideas come from,
Jeff?
Mahatma Gandhi? The whole
Christ.
Lynn, you have no knowledge of history, and yet you try to throw yourself
Nonviolence is a Christian concept.
You're going to not get along with Barry Farber. The reason you're not going to get along is it's like a stupid student in a high school class whose teacher is too smart for
Jeff, please. Lynn is my treasured new partner, and I want to keep this thing going.
Lynn is your student, Barry.
And now,
Bring a shovel in here
teach
tomorrow.
Lynn. Barry, teach Lynn, because the only way she's going to be taught is to have teaching forced down her.
Jeff, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Coretta King said something that I was amazed that anything real came out of Martin Luther King's observance. I thought it was all going to be bird calls and platitudes, but Coretta King knocked me flat.
What, from those people who live up in the trees, Barry?
No, Coretta King said that what is going on now around the world, around the communist world, had its roots in this very pulpit. Now, if that turns out to be historically sound, then Martin Luther King will be more important than Abraham Lincoln,
She
believe
got
me.
fat, didn't she?
Okay.
Did you notice
Well,
that?
Barry, just remember, and Lynn especially remember, the best thing that could happen to any nation is it to be taken over by the United States, because after the United States gets through invading
Tell him, Jeff.
everything...
Tell him,
Yeah,
Jeff.
tell that to the million
You
dead
remember the movie, The
Cambodians.
Mouse That Roared? You remember that movie?
Yes.
That movie is the best example of what really happens after the United States gets through
Okay.
invading.
And Jeff, you might want to tell Lynn, if I lose my voice, that the United States is the only nation that ever won a war and wound up with less territory. We liberated Western Europe.
That's
All we
true.
asked was enough land to bury our dead, and we gave the Philippines their freedom.
I'm going to
I
have
have
to
one
bring a
final
shovel
thing
and
to
a
say.
violin.
Lynn, the last thing I have to say is you say
A
blacks have
history book
I
will do,
understand.
Lynn. Lynn, a history book will do
name
you
one
better than a
country-
shovel and a violin.
Lynn, name one country blacks have it better in other than the United States. That's all I have to say.
Bye.
And I know you're not going to have an answer for me, Lynn.
Bye.
Bye.
Not a bad question, Lynn. Not a bad question.
Richie, hi.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Howard.
Ah, aren't you something? Aren't you? You're a post-toasty. Whoever
No,
you
this-
are, you're a post-toasty.
Yeah, watch out. He likes me.
Okay.
Barry, you know, I got to tell you, we've heard all your stories. We heard about you selling hot dogs at the college football game. We've heard about the Hungarian Revolution. We heard it all on MCA 20 years ago. You should buy a newspaper, and they come out every day.
You are obviously you're a bad actor. You're obviously part of the global conspiracy to hurt my feelings.
No, I'm not
and
trying
I'll
to
have
hurt
no
your
I'll have no
feelings.
further dealings
I'm
with
trying
you.
to make your show interesting.
I'll have no further dealings with you.
Yeah, well, you have
I'm
an
trying
uphill
to make your
battle.
show a little
I'm
more
kind of being given a cue, see, that I'm supposed to get rid of you.
But the cue does not come from me. I find
Yes, it does.
No, I didn't
You
say
just said you're finished with him.
Well, no, I said I'm through with him. You can marry him.
How do you feel?
Okay, I'm doing a lot better.
Good.
Barry, whose idea was this in management? Because I'd like to write them a serious letter.
I don't know, and if I did know, I wouldn't tell you, because, forgive a phrase you don't hear much in corporate America, it's none of your business.
Oh, I see.
If it were congressional record, it
Boy,
would be
it's
your
not
business.
hard to get through that
Boy,
Southern
you
gentleman
really get a straight
stuff.
answer from Barry, yeah?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it
I'm
didn't
sorry.
even
There is
take
nothing,
half an hour to
there
see
is
the real...
There is nothing in the Southern Rule Book, Handbook, or Declaration of Independence that says you've got to open house to something that's not your business. It's not your
people
business.
that listen to this station
right,
have a right
look.
to say things,
The
you know.
general manager is Fred Winehouse.
Okay, thank
Now,
you.
write him,
Was
Fred
that so
Winehouse.
hard? Was that so hard?
I didn't say it was his idea. You ask him whose idea it was.
Okay.
Okay, take care,
Well,
Richard.
and meanwhile, we're all
Drink
trembling.
some juice.
We're trembling in anticipation of your letter, pal.
Boy, it didn't take long, not even half an hour, did it? Hi, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Barry, and
Lynn.
there you go. Let me say this, Barry. Your words are so precise about description of Lynn. Although you weren't describing her, you said so beautifully in one of your hours. The left, marinates in chaos. Listen, Barry, this woman marinates. You'll never be able to bring her out of the marinade. It's there. You are a rocket with a direction. She is like, a firework. It goes up and it explodes, and there's a lot of little pretty colors, but that's it. It disappears. There's no rationale to this woman. You want to conduct a conversation, but you'll never be able to conduct a rational conversation here. But God bless you for trying. And, Lynn, you know, I just wonder, I spoke with you 2 weeks ago, and you said to me something which was very interesting, and I wanted to get back with you and ask you. I pointed out that I believe that space is now dominating politics. It's now space politics. It has nothing to do with Earth anymore. And and then we came around to I came and said that the human species is necessary to continue on Earth. You said something to me like, well, people are not necessary. It's not necessary for people to be on Earth.
Well, of course, there weren't always people on Earth, you know.
We're talking about now. Here, so I wanted to ask you, if people are not necessary, hey, why don't you go do it? Why don't you go get your bear bobkin and do it? Why don't you just end what you are? What keeps you going?
I don't understand what you're talking about. People are not necessary. There was the old primordial soup, you know, and there was Earth.
Are you not necessary?
No, none of us is necessary.
Then what keeps you living, Lynn?
Well, we all are imbued with a life force, see, that makes us want to keep... Of course.
You like it?
But you're very, you know, like homocentric or something. You can have an Earth, and you can have trees and animals and flowers and stuff. Who said you need people?
Who said you need people? We don't need you. You're not needed.
Not in some huge cosmic sense, no.
You don't live
Are
in
you
the
so egotistical you think you're needed by the cosmos?
Woody Allen said it very well when the CBS interviewer, great moment in broadcasting, said, "Do you want to live on in the hearts and minds of those who adore you?" And he said, "No, I want to live on in my apartment."
Right.
Okay.
Well, look, if you don't like living on, I don't know why you keep living on. And, you know, and Barry, God bless you.
So that I could have the great pleasure of talking to idiots like you. That's what keeps me going, that maybe the screwball is going to call. How about that? Hello, Helen.
Hi. There's an interesting parallel in American history. In the late 1800s, the American Indians got a case of smallpox. The American Indians were almost decimated by smallpox. Now, how they got that is that we, the American soldiers, gave the Indians blankets contaminated with smallpox.
Really?
And it's in American history books. In one book is The Prevalence of People by Bates, B-A-T-E-S. In many other books, we deliberately gave them blankets contaminated with smallpox.
Thank you.
And the interesting parallel is, are you there?
We're
yes.
here.
The interesting parallel is that in Africa at the present time, there are so many cases of AIDS. There are 75 million AIDS cases according to the World Health Organization, and that happened to come also as a gift to the Africans. And we gave the American Indians a gift of blankets and almost exterminated them. And in
Helen,
Africa,
would you cite me one reference? You say it's in the history books. I would love to make that
She
my
just
parallel.
did.
No, she just said it's in the...
No, she said Bates, The Prevalence of People is the
Right.
name of the book.
That's
I
right.
heard that. Perhaps if
Do
you
you know
listened
who
to the callers, you would have heard it
Do
too.
you know who the publisher is?
yeah, I think it was Scribner. I'm not 100% sure. Well, look, 1955.
Okay.
A
Now,
smallpox.
and what source do we have for the fact that we,
Does
the
do
white
you
man...
give sources
Yeah,
for every
everything.
ridiculous statement
Everything.
you make?
No,
let me hear the
but if
question.
it's a ridiculous statement that I made up, I say I made it up and it may be
No,
ridiculous.
I said, well, every
if I
statement
were
you
to
make
say
is
something like the
ridiculous.
white man gave AIDS to the black Africans, believe me, I would have a source.
Well, we did.
No,
wait a minute, can I
no,
tell
she
you
hasn't
about
given
AIDS?
the source for that.
Okay, let me tell
We
you
don't
about
need
AIDS.
a source.
No,
Every
I've got a
intelligent
source.
person knows that.
I've
Now, wait,
got a source.
Helen, forgive me.
I've
We
got
have
a
just
source.
heard something exquisite. I wouldn't believe it if I weren't sitting 3 feet away. I will repeat what Lynn Samuels just said. Quote, we don't need a source for that. Every intelligent person knows it. Adolf Hitler could not have done that better.
Well, I'll give you a source if you want.
Please.
Okay. In the 70s, I think it was, we gave the Africans a gift, and we gave them injections against smallpox.
Uh-huh.
A WHO, World Health Organization official, happened to notice that in those areas where they had gotten the smallpox injections, there was an explosion of AIDS. And so he investigated, and he did find out that the AIDS vaccine, that the smallpox vaccine was contaminated with the AIDS
Do we know
virus.
that was deliberately done to...
No, we do not know it was deliberately done. And it was published in the London Times in May, I think it was 87.
Okay.
And it was not picked up in this country.
All right, let me
In
just...
fact, let me give you the exact date. It was published in the London Times. I can't... find it right at the moment, but it was published in the London Times, and it was not, yes, it was published in the London Times in May 11th, 1987, and the papers here refused to pick it up. So that was another...
Wait, Helen, you give me more problems than my grandma's wedding ring had rhinestones. The papers here refused to pick it up. We don't live in a country where the papers refuse to pick it up.
It was not published.
You mean, all papers refused? I never noticed it. I never mentioned it. Believe me, nobody tells us what to pick up and what not to pick up. I can't believe it.
Really?
Yes, really.
Really?
Who tells you what not to pick up?
It was not in the American papers. It was in the London Times of May 11th, 1987.
No, I'm not going to let your suggestion go down that America's a country where the papers can decide to pick it up or can decide not to pick it up. We've got a lot of papers, a lot of television shows, a lot of radio shows, a lot of newsletters, magazines, and crank letters. Whoever wants to pick it up is free in this country to pick it up.
That's being a little naive. There's pressure by the CIA, and you know.
No, well, Helen, that's the biggest insult ever given to me, because I've been on radio since 1960, and you're the first person who made me feel as unimportant as I feel at the moment. Do you mean that I have never been important enough, whether I'm on the ABC Talk Radio Network or 50,000 watts of WOR or WAB? I've never been important enough for the CIA to call and say, hey, buddy,
You've never said anything they would disagree with, Barry. They probably tell you what to say, not what not to say.
That is a shallow lie, and we'll let it go for the moment.
Well, they don't have to tell you. I mean, you know, you're pretty pleased.
Helen, let's get back to the...
Helen.
Let's get back to the... Helen, yeah, you and...
Are you done with Helen?
I want to get to the Indians, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because, Helen, you and Lynn commit something that so many people on, shall we generously say,
yes,
the left
intelligence.
the left of things.
Commit some intelligence in the room.
That's what I like about Lynn. She's so easy to entertain. She makes a wisecrack and roars with laughter. Hooray, I may try. That kind of auto-gratification is one I got to admit I'm not familiar with.
You only have one sense of humor in a room,
Anyhow, Helen and Lynn, you see, I want you to get off the notion that America killed the Indians and that's the end of it. You can spin the globe. Wherever you find
America didn't kill the Indians.
Wherever you find... No, listen, Lynn, listen. Just, I promise listen to the guest if you listen to your co-host. Wherever you find people on the planet Earth, they killed whoever was there before, who in turn killed whoever was there before, who in turn killed whoever was there before. Now, it's not just America. It's not just Israel. It is absolutely every inhabited spot on the planet Earth with one glowing exception, and I bet you nobody knows what that is.
It doesn't matter. I'd like you to cite chapter and verse and page, the book where you read that, and how you know that, Barry Farber.
No, I don't have to cite a source.
Well, I don't know. You're making her cite a source for everything.
Because hers was one specific fact that I was unfamiliar with. Every history book will attest to the fact that the Arabs are not the ones who gave us the pyramids and the hieroglyphics. Let's just start in the Middle East. Are you aware of that? The Arabs did not give us the glories of ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians did, who were muscled out by the Arabs. Now, tell me what part of the world you want to go to, and I'll cite you the history applying to that particular square footage.
Look, Mr. Farber, it may be that other people pushed other people out.
Everybody. Helen, that's my point. If everybody did it, why is America the only one to get the bony finger of indignation from you and
If everybody jumped off the Empire State Building, Barry Farber, would you jump off the Empire State Building?
No, but I wouldn't point to one person and say, you Schlemiel, why are you jumping off the Empire State Building?
A 6-year-old mommy. Everybody else is doing it, so everybody else killed the indigenous people, Mommy, so I want to kill the indigenous people.
Good example. If that mommy made that 6-year-old boy feel uniquely evil and made him feel like the only one, the way
then
the left...
she would be having morality, and she would be right.
Pardon me for talking while you're interrupting. If that mother is trying to make that 6-year-old boy feel uniquely guilty for doing something that everybody in history does repeatedly, then that mother is guilty and the 6-year-old boy is right to whine.
No, that mother isn't. Then she is teaching morality. You are advocating murder simply because everybody is a murderer. Isn't that wonderful?
I am neither advocating it nor excusing it nor condoning it. I'm saying I cannot.
Just that.
I'm saying I cannot improve the past. I can only improve the future, and I'm trying.
Farber, what we did to
I'm not going to kill any Indians.
What we did to the American Indians, we are most familiar with here, and we also bear some responsibility for it.
Since it's continuing to this day.
The American, some people think the reservations were early concentration camps. And, so this country isn't so perfect, and it's not helping anyone to claim it's perfect.
I didn't say it was perfect. Listen to what I said. There are phrase makers and word choosers. I was choosing words. I didn't use the word perfect. I said no other country has ever amassed more power and abused it less than the United States of America.
Well, Mr. Farber, that just isn't true.
Well, name another country.
We need to take a break.
Name a country that. After the break, after you've had time for prayer, fasting, and meditation, Helen, perhaps you or Lynn will come up with the name of a country that has amassed more power and abused it less than the United States of America.
Shall I put Helen on hold? Do you want to keep Helen?
Ask her if she wants to nominate a
country.
Well,
I'm asking you if you would like her to be put on hold.
If Helen has a country to
All right, we'll put you on hold, okay, Helen?
Thank you.
Okay. This is WABC.
Well, actually, the way Barry put the question, you can't answer. In the first place, there is no country more powerful than the United States. What I'm talking about is a lot of crimes and inhumane acts committed by the United States that most people aren't aware of, and it's not helping the United States, and it's not helping humanity to talk about how we're better than anyone else.
No, Helen,
There's a whole lot to be corrected. And it's not helping to say, oh, rah, 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 we're the best in the world, rah, rah, rah.
I'm not saying rah, rah, rah. I'm saying God bless a superpower like the United States that liberates instead of enslaves, that propels democracy instead of communism or some other kind of enslavement.
No, fascism.
What?
Fascism.
Lynn, I will never dislike
Christianity, samosa, Papa Doc, Baby Doc.
I will never dislike you enough to use your words against you. Are you saying that America is a fascist state?
We support fascist dictators all over the world and have done so practically forever.
Have you ever complained about our support of communist dictators, beginning with the Soviet
Yes,
Union?
I actually complained earlier today about our support of whatever his name is, the dead guy. Yeah, I can't say it. I'm so glad he's dead.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up, because something interesting went down between you and Elliot. I really liked listening to Elliot. He was one of your few callers I was able to hear. Do not let the word go out over 50,000 watts, that quote, and this is what was said on that show, that Ceausescu played cutesy with the Jews, and the Jews played cutesy with Ceausescu, and he let the Jews go, and that's why the chief rabbi of Romania now feels an anti-Jewish pogrom coming on.
Don't let it go out. It's in the New York Times, Barry.
No. Thank God.
If you read a newspaper.
Thank God the complete story is in the New York Times. In the New York Times, it points out that Ceausescu wasn't playing cutesy with anybody. He was in the kidnapping business. Romania was the only country that had as a major industry selling people for ransom. There was a price tag on every Jewish head, and I know, and I'm proud of the fact that I helped raise some of the money to buy some of those Jews out of Romania. The Jewish community right now should get on a soapbox, and Lynn, speaking as loudly as you've ever spoken, let the world know, because if Lynn Samuels and Elliot can be confused this many days after the Ceausescu regime has fallen, if you can be confused into thinking that there was some kind of nice deal and Ceausescu let the Jews go. He did not let the Jews go. No. He sold them. He sold them.
Fine.
And the money was...
Them go.
He sold them.
Fine, Barry. He sold them. And you know why he did it? He did it to blackmail the United States into giving him most favored nations trading status, the communist butcher of Romania.
He got it both ways. He got that, you're quite correct, and he also got between $7,500 and $25,000 for every Jew allowed out of Romania.
What difference does it make? They got out, didn't they?
No, it makes a big deal of difference.
Well, it doesn't make any difference to me.
No, because if the anti-Semites of Romania can point the finger and make their people think that the Jews and Ceausescu were somehow joined together at the hip, then it will be very bad for the Jews.
Well, that's the point of the article in the Times. Helen, you've been on forever, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. Don't thank me. Hi, Simon.
Well, how you doing, Lynn, Barry?
Yes, Simon.
Okay, I think you should call this the Bird Show, because you have one left wing, one right wing. But,
that's it. Bird needs two wings to fly, right and left.
Last hour you're talking about, Lynn, you're talking about Bernard Goetz, right?
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that, I wonder how people call that racist. I mean, it's about time that, that people should fight back, because people only prey on people that they know that they're defenseless.
Lynn Samuels said, if you had come to me and said, Barry, here is a statement, it was on New York radio, guess who said it? And then if the statement were, I don't believe Bernie Goetz's act was racist, Lynn Samuels would be 100th out of our list of 100 people, I would guess. And yet Lynn Samuels said that within the past calendar hour, and I salute her for it. She's actually right.
I don't want your approval. What are you you're saying this is like some big prize I won?
Yeah.
Who cares?
I reserve.
In fact, your approval is probably the last thing I want.
Lynn, how can you be so self-centered that you think everything that is said revolves around you?
I don't know. Perhaps because you mentioned my name in the sentence gave me some bizarre idea.
When all this Big Bang stuff is checked out and they discover the center of the universe, you're going to be mighty disappointed to learn it's not you. I have the civil right to announce my approval of anything, including something you said in the previous hour.
Don't say it as though it matters.
Who cares how you feel about my compliment? I give it to you nonetheless.
Anyway?
Yes?
Also, last hour, somebody said that like there's a black in an elevator, just one guy, and you don't go in like it's a racist thing.
Yes.
I mean, if that's racist, I'd be racist in living. They're not racist in death.
Oh, please. You wouldn't get in an elevator if there was a black guy in the elevator?
No, I would, but unless he's menacing looking, like if there would be a white guy with a mohawk and orange hair, just one guy, I wouldn't get into the elevator either.
Why not?
Because this guy can pull out a knife or something, you know.
A punk with a mohawk would probably be the last person who'll pull a knife on you.
Well, the way these guys dress, you can tell they really couldn't care less, and they don't care about other people think, and they wouldn't mind, doing something against somebody.
Everybody's so hung up on how people dress.
Well, that's the way. That's the way it is.
I understand, and let's get right.
I'm sure you do.
Let's get down to where the water hits the wheel. If you see a person in that elevator that makes you feel menaced, you're not going to get in, pal. I'm not either.
I am.
If you go into a party where everybody's wearing a tuxedo and you go in with a ripped pair of jeans, I mean, everybody think you're crazy. I don't care. Who cares the way he dresses? But
since Barry mentioned Woody Allen before, Woody Allen, one of the things he's famous for is that he goes to these ritzy dinners and stuff, and they may get him into a tuxedo, but he wears sneakers. So would you run away from Woody Allen?
I'd run away from him anyway.
All right, you win.
No, you
Very
win.
Good.
No, Lynn, I'm sorry. Here comes more patronization. You win. I will never forget the image of anybody, running away from Woody Allen.
Okay, Simon.
Okay,
take care. Well, I think Woody Allen is a sham anyway. Hi, Howard.
How you doing? I'm a salesman. I'm in the car all the time. I listen to you. I listen to...
Which you do you mean?
No, you meaning I'm talking to you. And I listen to the Bob Grant. I refuse to listen to Mr. Farber. He hit it right on the head. The word patronize. He patronizes everybody. You turn on the radio, anybody he speaks to, he patronizes. Someone calls in, an interview, he patronizes. I don't know. This is the first day you had this, right?
Yes.
You're not gonna last. As far as I'm concerned,
Which one of us?
No, I think he's going to blow his brains out before you will. This is not going to be. You're great by yourself. If anybody wants to listen to him, but I tell them, I don't think I'll listen to the program anymore because I don't like him. People that don't like you and vice versa, I don't think it's going to work. Whoever's idea it was, my own personal reason, I don't think it's going to go on. The man patronizes everybody he talks to, no matter what it is. As soon as I turned the radio on, I'm in the car. I got out of the car. I came past my house. I stopped to make a telephone call.
Lynn's inviting me to talk to you, and I simply will not dignify a fact of that nature with a fraudulent denial.
You don't say you patronize everybody you speak to?
Oh, you could understand what he just said?
What?
I don't know. He just said a sentence. I don't know what it even meant.
Well, sir, I happen to agree with you, but what are our two feeble opinions against so many adoring millions?
Well, so many adoring millions, then fine. You got a following, fine. But I'm not the one that has to listen to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We need to take a break before...
No, I'm fine. Let's go ahead to a break.
Okay, this is WABC News Talk Radio 770. You are...
Barry Farber.
And I are Lynn Samuels. This is the...
Barry Farber.
And Lynn Samuels show. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
May I make several comments on what the two of you have been talking about the last 45 minutes? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Contaminated Blankets. The volume title is Indians by American Heritage. You'll find it there. Okay? And the theme of the entire volume is the moving and the eradication of the American Indian. That's the first item. On the Soviet Union and the United States, both of you seem to, be at opposite ends. I think it'd be better if you sort of looked up the past history and the geographical position and how they look at things. Now, Barry made a comment on the Philippines that we lost land. We didn't gain any.
We relinquished land.
Right. The reason we relinquished it is because we had promised the Philippines in the 30s that they would get a gradual emancipation. World War II intervened, and they got it July 4th, 1946.
Well, you seem to think that diminishes our moral correctness in that.
No, I'm just making a statement as to morally, we were I would say we were morally right in that.
We got out of the empire business. Britain, France, Holland, Belgium.
Okay.
We're pushed out of it.
We're still in it.
No, we're not.
Now, Latin America, I would say that over the last 60 years, the turn of the century, we've had we've pretty much supported strong men. And not only that, but the only person that we didn't like was the one that fought back. And he was a Nicaraguan. I believe I forgot the name again. His name was Emilio Sandino.
Sandino, yeah.
And that's why
the Sandinistas.
The Sandinistas have always kept him in mind over the last 50 years.
Why is it that Lynn enjoys your history lesson, but when you mention World War II, it's as though a mouse entered the room?
Lenin and I have nothing to do with this, okay?
We're still interfering in Nicaragua.
Okay.
That's why. I'm interested in what's happening now. I don't live in the past.
Let me say one other thing about abusing power, American power. Generally speaking, compared to other nations, over the centuries, I think America's been a pretty good Joe.
Thank you, Matthew.
You got to look at this both ways. I'm looking at
Uncle
one and the other, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to keep that in mind. When you talk about the Soviet Union and the United States, you have two entirely different people.
Thank you,
Matthew.
Matthew.
Where one nation ends geographically, the other one begins. And that has a lot to do with their living conditions.
Okay, we have like another person hanging on, okay?
Okay, one other thing. May I?
Fast.
Okay. Don't throw facts around like the cherries.
I don't know any facts. I don't care. I know right. I know right and wrong. If you know right and wrong, you don't have to know facts. The only people who need to know facts, which can be looked up, are people who have no morality. They throw facts at people. Let's try to get her. Evelyn, you have like a minute, honey.
Well, that's going to be too much.
Too
little. All right. Adlai Stevenson once said about the, quote, intellectual. An intellectual is someone who uses more words than he needs to say more than he knows. Now, you know pretty well who I'm talking about.
Yes, keep talking.
All right. Russell Baker had a marvelous column about people who are serious and people who are solemn. And I think I won't be able to get that all in. But ancient Greece was serious, Rome was solemn, Adlai Stevenson was serious, Eisenhower was solemn, you are serious, and Barry is solemn.
Thank you. And Eisenhower's granddaughter is marrying a Soviet. He's probably turning around in his grave, old Ike.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, stay tuned for Barry Alone. And I'm Lynn Samuels. I'll be back tomorrow at noon.
And we'll be back tomorrow at 1.
That's it.
Serious and solemn. That's not bad. She forgot to drop the final shoe, and that was that Eisenhower beat Stevenson handily before the greatest jury in the world, the American electorate.
It's 2 o'clock.
Oh, my soul. I feel like I've just come from a mud wrestling match to do a violin concerto, and I've only had 5 minutes to put the tuxedo on gently over the mud. Bruce, come on, don't laugh, pal. Don't laugh. I expect you to have compassion. Oh, anyhow, I enjoyed that hour with Lynn Samuels. Do not try to insult Lynn Samuels on my show.
Hell has no fury like that of a woman scorned.
Couldn't she whoop a camp meeting of Wildcats?
But you know, poor Lynn, don't you see? Really, I'm serious. It's really been a threat to her personality to have them do that to her, you know. But here's the funny part. You know, by the way, you remember what you asked me where I get my cheerfulness from. I'm going to send you a picture.
Okay.
You know what?
What?
When I pick up these photos, it's of me at Lincoln Center, which I live near, in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just helping an aunt out here. And with my 2 little dogs licking my face by the fountain. And they're so adorable. So they taught me to love, that I can have perfect unconditional love in this life if I don't look for it from a human who can't give it to me because we're in conflict of interest usually, right?
Well,
you want to watch this and I want to watch that, but don't hang up on me. I have some interesting things to share with you.
Well, you see, the board is especially busy today because of what they call down south the excitement.
Yeah, but wait, this is going to help everybody.
Okay.
Here's what's going on. I understand liberals, and I've been fighting them, mentally, and yet I've been one myself. But they're rebels, and this is not mean now. A rebel is someone who early on in life was told by usually mommy or daddy, or some other authority figure that they can't do what they want or have what they want or they must do something else. So when I got into therapy, this wonderful girl named Nicole said to me when I was describing my house being such a filthy mess, and I'm always late for work, she said to me, Lucy, what do you say to yourself when you don't do those things you know you ought to do? I said, well, I guess I'm saying to that little voice in my head, because I understand therapy and psychology very well. I said, I guess I'm saying to that little voice in my head that says, look at that filthy house. Get going. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm saying to it, you can't make me. And you know what she said? And it was wonderful. She said, Lucy, why don't you change the sentence to you can't stop me? And by saying that, you can't stop